something that I don't want to see repeated in history if I have anything to do about it.
You both mentioned that Congress essentially holds the purse strings and ultimately controls what happens. Do you have a sense of what kind of a plan Congress may produce to send back to the White House, if that in fact would happen, and what they might do with that? Do you have any insights so far?
Well, as I said, Mr. Posey and I have co-sponsored a piece of legislation that essentially provides a framework for what I think Congress might do. Whether or not it will be the ultimate instrument that they approve, I don't know. But the legislation that we have co-sponsored, as I said, provides an opportunity to continue to use the shuttle for the purposes that we designed it and for which it is uniquely qualified, and that is to have an American made and led vehicle to get us to the International Space Station. Our legislation also suggests that we look closely at the Constellation program and determine what from that program that we have so much time and money invested in can be utilized to maximize our opportunities as we go forward and look to whatever will be the next manned space program. It also calls upon a very quick timeline for establishing safety standards because, as you know, part of the President's proposal puts money into commercial operations. We want to ensure that any commercial operations, and we encourage that. I feel good that we need to do that. We still need the NASA-led vehicle, but that the safety standards are clearly established for any vehicle that would be used for crew. So that would be my response as to where we are headed based on the legislation that Mr. Posey and I have co-sponsored. I think
I think that's accurate. While our entire state delegation is on the same page and chapter and verse, different parts of the country have a little bit different take on that than we do. We are not saying we want shuttle exclusively until Ares is ready to take over. We want shuttle until there is a replacement vehicle made by Americans and launched by Americans to replace the shuttle. Some parts of the country want to be Constellation specific. There are parts of the country, representatives from different parts of the country, that aren't very fond of mentioning the word commercial at all. We are proud to have commercial operations at KSC in the Cape, and we want them to continue. We think there's huge potential for commercial launching. We just don't want to put all our eggs in a commercial basket when we're nowhere near having a commercial man-rated vehicle. That could be a decade or more away.
In the past couple of space panels that we've had, there's been quite a bit of opposition to President Obama's direction, which was rolled out as just part of a budget announcement. President Obama could not be here today to explain or defend his plan, but one of his advisors, John Holdren, the White House Science and Technology Advisor, great photo, did testify before a congressional committee, and he explained the new direction, saying that it invests in game-changing technologies and, quote, gives promise to getting our astronauts to deep space destinations sooner, faster, safer, and cheaper than what realistically could have been achieved under the old approach. He continued that the Obama plan and budget for NASA includes funding to develop in-orbit fuel storage and refueling, research and development on new launch systems and space propulsion, robotic precursor missions to scout human and exploration targets, and continuing to increase the understanding of the cosmos through such projects as the follow-on to the Hubble Space Telescope. He said, what we're changing is the acquisition model so that we're acquiring services rather than buying vehicles. Does that fly with you? What do you make of that description? Bill?
Well, first of all, there's 5 fundamental flaws with the plan as he's explained it. Number 1, it breaks the promise to close the gap. You don't go from shuttle to Constellation. You go from shuttle to nowhere, except some vague esoteric platitudes. 2, it repeats the mistakes of the Apollo program by failing to transition expert workforce, the best launch team in the world. 3, it does not establish any goals or logical timetables. 4, it does not establish a heavy lift vehicle. And 5, it relies too much on commercial, as I said, placing all our eggs in one basket. Now, I don't know where that was published that you just read, but let me tell you what the Russians had to say in print. NASA has long spent more money on programs than Russia's space agency, but President Barack Obama has slashed NASA's dreams of going to the moon again, and at the same time, the Russian space industry is feeling the warm glow of state backing. There has been concerted effort in recent years, an investment that fits in well with the Putin doctrine of trying to restore Russian pride through capacity. I'll tell you what the Japanese said. This is just the bottom line. I don't want to take up a lot of time. Once the leader in space development, the United States space exploration policies are now drifting aimlessly. Those aren't my words. Those aren't Congresswoman Kosmas' words. These are words of interested third parties in Russia and Japan. That's their take on it. The chapters have been pretty consistent with our take. I have no doubt that China and Russia fully endorse those programs.
I think Mr. Posey would agree with me that one of the things that we take great pleasure in Washington on Capitol Hill is that those of us who are space lovers and people who are really enthusiastic about the space program operate on a bipartisan level. And we are in this together, and we recognize, frankly, that what's been outlined by Dr. Holdren doesn't meet the needs of this community, Space Coast community, the United States of America, or our future leadership, I like to say supremacy in space exploration, and that we are working very hard and very diligently to make them understand that, first of all, we have a uniquely qualified, educated, skilled workforce here at the Space Coast that, as Mr. Posey said, when the shuttle ends and a new program begins, we can't afford to have a gap that with no end in sight until the next vehicle is identified, its mission is identified, and the workforce has a reason to stay and continue to be part of the community here at the workforce. I visited, at the Space Coast, I visited Astronaut High School yesterday. There were about 300 high school students in the audience. I can tell you that from the questions that they asked me and the comments that they made, you can see that in the Space Coast, space exploration is in their DNA. It's literally fourth generation people who are like you and like me, and like our colleagues in Congress, not going to sit by and see a program put in place that does not provide for American leadership, American inspiration for the next generation, and the opportunities to hold our workforce together here on the Space Coast. So much of what you described that Dr. Holdren is talking about is valid, long-term goals. There's no question about it. The point is that, and some of that work will come, as it was announced yesterday, will come right here to KSC, and that's a good thing. But at the heart of the matter is the opportunity for us to identify a NASA-led vehicle with a mission that we can hold our workforce together and use to continue our leadership and inspiration in space. So we're on the same page here with our colleagues in Congress, attempting to, I like to say, fill in the blanks of what was left unsaid in the President's budget proposal.
One of the most recent news stories that we've covered at Florida Today is this announcement that there's going to be some kind of an office opened at Kennedy Space Center to help develop the private crew and delivery of cargo to the space station. But I didn't see any numbers of jobs or anything attached to that. What is your sense of that development's impact here for us on the Space Coast?
Well, there was an announcement made yesterday, as you said, that's going to bring the Commercial Crew Program Management Office to Kennedy Space Center. That's good news. That gives us an opportunity to attract other businesses, providers, purveyors, and other businesses to the area to implement that program. We have not yet seen an analysis of the workforce that will be affected by that particular aspect of it. As I said, the announcement yesterday also included the fact that Kennedy Space Center will become the 21st century launch facility and will be upgraded 6